Dear learners, welcome. The topic of this module is interpersonal attraction. Aristotle, an ancient Greek philosopher, was the first one to acknowledge that humans are social animals. This means that we thrive the best when we are in the company of others. Human beings can't live alone and survive in isolation. Obviously, we cannot imagine that how our life would have been if we didn't have so many people around us. Human infants are born with an inbuilt motivation and ability to seek contact with their social world. Human beings interact with each other on a daily basis and have a deep impact on each other's life. Relationship with the individuals around us are key to one's social existence. Interaction with others and interpersonal relationship is therefore so essential. More than interpersonal relation, the interpersonal attraction is prolonged relationship based on liking between two persons. Social psychologists have recognized this desire for a long-term relationship for decades. The study of interpersonal attraction is a major area of research in social psychology. In their research, they have carefully considered all the questions like why do people like or dislike each other, why do they fall in love, are there several kinds of love or just one, why do some relationships gradually move towards deeper and deeper levels of commitment while others fizzle. Many research studies in social psychology have provided many insights and knowledge about interpersonal attraction. This module has following objectives: to understand the meaning and the types of interpersonal attraction, to elucidate the determinants or causative factors contributing to interpersonal attraction, to analyze interpersonal attraction in the light of different theories. Now, let us see the meaning of interpersonal attraction. Interpersonal attraction is the attraction between people which leads to friendship and romantic relationships. Interpersonal attraction is the positive sentiments one has for another person. Interpersonal attraction refers to the attitude one holds about another person. These evaluation of people fall along a dimension that involves liking at one end and disliking at the other. Depending on the level of attraction we feel, we categorize that person and behave towards him or her in a quite different way. It can take many forms including liking, love, friendship, infatuation, lust, adoration, admiration, and so on. Interpersonal attraction is traditionally defined in social psychology as a positive attitude or evaluation regarding a particular person, including the three components conventionally ascribed to attitudes, behavior, cognitive, and affective feeling for the person. Interpersonal attraction is firmly linked to other basic feelings and behavioral patterns essential for personal well-being and everyday social interaction, such as the need for affiliation, fondness, friendship, and love itself. Failure to attract others or to find others attractive often results in adaptive, interpersonal, and psychological problems. Next, we are going to learn about types of attraction. They are of three types. Number one is physical attraction. Physical attraction is all about a person's physical attributes. It includes seeing someone as beautiful, sexy, or good looking. Physical attractiveness judgments are instantaneous. Aside from cultural distinctive beauty standards, evolutionary scientists have discovered several universal physical attractiveness characteristics. Although males value physical attractiveness more than women, both sexes are beauty obsessed and physically attractive people are perceived as more desirable. Beauty might be in the eye of the beholder, but humans correlate physical attractiveness with many positive attributes such as sociability and competence. This is known as beauty is good stereotype or halo effect. Attractive people might be social butterflies and receive more attention, but they are not especially blessed with other and positive personality traits than relatively less attractive people, which then break the illusion because people are only physically attracted to them and won't keep liking them if they have a bad mouth. Another reason for this beauty bias is an aesthetic appeal. Gorgeous people provide sheer viewing pleasure. The second type of attraction is social attraction. It includes being attracted to a person's personality. A person with a good personality will naturally attract people wanting to talk and socialize with them. In this, a person's physical attractiveness doesn't matter much. People prefer those who describe themselves to have a fun-loving and outgoing personality. This shows the desirability of extroverts. The third type of attraction is task attraction. In this, people are attracted to the abilities of a person, being reliable, dependable, and easy to work with. Task attraction is generally associated with workplace relationships and group relationship, but it can also be there in some friendship and romantic relationships. We are drawn to people who can assist us in meeting our wants and achieving our goals, especially if those needs and goals are of high priority. We prefer to seek potential relationship partners who are both capable and willing to help us to reach our goals. These goals can be marriage, children, financial security, a certain lifestyle, particular freedoms, and other life goals one might have. Next, we are going to learn about the determinants of interpersonal attraction. According to Bowster Bushman in the year 2008, interpersonal attraction serves as an important function in forming a social network, which in turn provides security and satisfy people's need to belong to a social group. In assessing the nature of attraction, social psychologists have used methods such as questionnaires, survey, and rating scale to determine levels of one's attraction towards another. Here, the effect of similarity, social reward, familiarity, and physical attractiveness are examined to see how they impact interpersonal attraction. When measuring interpersonal attraction, one must refer to the qualities of the attracted as well as the qualities of the attractor to achieve predictive accuracy. It is suggested that to determine attraction, personality and situation must be taken into account. Many factors leading to interpersonal attraction have been studied. The most frequently studied factors are physical attractiveness, propinquity, familiarity, similarity, complementarity, reciprocal liking, and reinforcement. In this module, we will discuss each causative factor one by one. The first one is internal determinants of attraction. The need to affiliate and the basic role of affect are the internal determinants of interpersonal attraction. To affiliate means to connect yourself with someone or something. The tendency to affiliate and associate with others have a biological basis. This is said by Rowe in the year 1996. Much of our life is spent interacting with other people, and this tendency to affiliate, that is, to associate with them, seems to have a neurobiological basis. In fact, the need to affiliate with others and to be accepted by them may be just as basic to our psychological well-being as hunger and thirst are to our physical well-being. From an evolutionary perspective, it would almost certainly have been an advantage to our distinct ancestor to interact socially and to cooperate with one another in order to obtain food, to protect one from danger, and for reproduction. It is clear that for our ancient ancestors, any tendencies that facilitated social interaction and cooperation had positive effects. Affiliation increased the odds of surviving and reproducing. So, this motive become a part of our genetic heritage and act as an adaptive response. Human infants are apparently born with the motivation and ability to seek contact with their interpersonal world. and even newborns are predisposed to look at the faces in preference to other stimuli. Adults also pay special attention to faces, and facial information is processed in a different way than stimuli of less biological significance. The importance of facial stimulus is also suggested by the fact that we respond automatically to facial cues such as smiles and frowns. The strength of the need to affiliate differs among individuals and across situations. Individual differences in need to affiliate means people differ greatly in the strength of this tendency. This difference, whether based on genetics or experience, constitute a relatively stable trait or disposition. Basically, we need to seek the amount of social contact that is optimal for us, preferring to be alone some of the time and in social situations some of the time. When their affiliation needs are not met, how do people react? Social exclusion leads to increased sensitivity to interpersonal information, results in less effective cognitive functioning. Decades of research by social psychologists indicate that although the need to affiliate with others is both strong and general, there are some people who show what is known as dismissing avoidant attachment style, which means a pattern in which they claim to have little or no need for emotional attachments to others and who in fact tend to avoid close relationship. Are such people really an exception to the general rule that as human beings we have a strong need to affiliate with others? Social psychologists are ingenious though, and their research findings indicate that in fact even people who claim to have little or no need for affiliation than most other people show increased self-esteem and improved moods when they find out that they are accepted by others. Situational influence on the need to affiliate. In addition to individual differences in affiliation need, external events can elicit temporary states reflecting an increase in the need to affiliate or reduce this need. When people are reminded of their own mortality, for example, a common response is the desire to affiliate with others. Newspaper and television stories frequently describe how the desire to affiliate is a common response to natural disasters. In the wake of such threats such as flood, earthquakes or blizzard, strangers come together and interact in a positive way to help and comfort one another. These disaster-induced interactions are described as friendly and cheerful, with the people doing their best to help one another. The underlying reason for responding to stress with friendliness and affiliation was first identified by Shastar. His early work revealed that participants in an experiment who were expecting to receive an electric shock preferred to spend time with others facing the same unpleasant prospect rather than being alone. Those in the control group not expecting an unpleasant electric shock preferred to be alone, or they did not care whether they were with others or not. One conclusion from this line of research was that misery does not love any kind of company, it loves only miserable company. Why should real life threats and anxiety inducing laboratory manipulations arouse the need to affiliate? Why should frightened, anxious people want to interact with other frightened, anxious people? One answer is that such affiliation provides the opportunity for social comparison. People want to be with others, even strangers, in order to communicate about what they are experiencing and to compare their affective reactions. Arousing situation lead us to seek cognitive clarity in order to know what is going on, and emotional clarity in order to make sense of just what it is that we are feeling. And contact with other humans is likely to include both conversations and hugs. Both can be comforting. Affect as a basic response system. The emotional state that is happy, sad, fearful, etc. at any given moment influences what one perceives, the thought process, the motivation, the decision one makes, and interpersonal attraction. The term affect means a person's emotional state. positive and negative feelings and moods. The two most important characteristics of affect are intensity and direction. Intensity means the strength of the emotion. Direction means whether the emotion is positive or negative. Why is affect a basic aspect of human behavior? This question remains. Social psychologist John Capipo has provided an explanation based on evolutionary principle. He suggests the affect system is responsible for guiding our behavior toward whole classes of stimuli. The most fundamental discrimination animal must be able to make in order to survive is to discriminate hostile from hospitable events. Our ancestors, both human and otherwise, were best able to live long enough to reproduce if they could avoid whatever was unpleasant and seek out whatever was pleasant. In effect, we are built for pleasure because the chances of survival and of reproduction are enhanced by just such tendencies. This generalization is useful whether the discrimination involves evaluations of unfamiliar food, a new environmental setting, or a stranger. Now, we are going to see how affect influences interpersonal attraction. However complex positive and negative affect may turn out to be, a basic principle remains. The presence of positive affect leads to positive evaluation of other people or liking, while the negative affect leads to negative evaluation or disliking. The two types of effect of emotions on attraction are the direct effect and the associated effect of emotions on attractions. Emotions have a direct effect on attraction when another person say or does something that makes you to feel good or bad. One likes someone who makes the person feel good and dislikes someone who makes the person feel bad. For example, a stranger will like you better if you do or say something pleasant. For example, you have a beautiful dog. It is really cute and smart. It is indeed lovely to have pet dog like this. The associated effect of emotion on attraction occurs when another person is simply present at the same time that one's emotional state is aroused by something or someone else. Though the individual towards whom the person expresses like or dislike is not in any way responsible for what the person is feeling. Nevertheless, the person tends to evaluate him or her more positively when the person is feeling good and more negatively when the person is feeling bad. Next in this module, we are going to see external determinants of attraction. Physical attractiveness and other observable characteristics and proximity acts as external determinants of attraction. Physical attractiveness. Despite the old sayings that beauty is only skin deep and you cannot judge a book by its cover, we tend to operate according to Aristotle's 2000-year-old pronouncement that personal beauty is a greater recommendation than any letter of introduction. One of the most commonly cited factors influencing attraction is physical attractiveness. It is indeed well known that most people show a substantial preference for attractive persons over unattractive persons. Perhaps the advantage of good looks and the preferences people make when they see a physically attractive person are the reason for getting attracted to one another. Studies have shown that when people see an attractive person, they believe that there is more than physical beauty that they see, and they tend to assume certain internal qualities within the person such as kindness, outgoing, etc. Even though physical attractiveness is unrelated to objective measure of internal qualities such as intelligence and personality, many researchers indicate that bias for beauty is pervasive in all society. To illustrate this factor, many researchers illustrating the relationship between physical attractiveness and its stereotype were carried out. In one of the first studies of physical attractiveness stereotype, college students were asked to look at the pictures of men and women who either were good looking, average or homely, and to then evaluate their personalities. Results indicated that the students tended to assume that physically attractive persons possessed a host of socially desirable personality traits as compared to those who were unattractive. Consistent with the physical attractiveness stereotype, it was also reported from research that beautiful and handsome characters were significantly more likely to be portrayed as virtuous, romantically active and successful than their attractive counterparts. Over the past 35 years, many researchers have examined this stereotype, and two separate meta-analyses of these studies reveal that physically attractive people are perceived to be more sociable, successful, happy, dominant, sexually warm, mentally healthy, intelligent and socially skilled than those who are unattractive. Although the above findings are based solely on samples from individualistic cultures, the physical attractiveness stereotype also occurs in collectivist cultures, but its content is a bit different. In addition to attractiveness, many other observable characteristics influences interpersonal evaluations, including physique, weight, behavioral style, food preferences, first names and other superficial characteristics. The next external determinants of attraction is propinquity, proximity. We live in a planet with billions of people around us, but we are likely to come into contact with only a very small percentage of them in our lifetime. Without some kind of contact, we obviously cannot become acquainted with anyone or have a basis on which to decide which individual we like or dislike. The initial contact between two people is very often based on the proximity that is the result of such physical aspect of the environment like classroom seating arrangements, the location of residence and how workplaces are arranged. The smaller the physical distance, the greater the probability that the two people will come into repeated contact, experiencing repeated exposure to one another. Repeated exposure, as explained by Ziongs, American psychologist, is that frequent contact with any mildly negative, neutral or positive stimulus result in an increasingly positive evaluation of that stimulus. Proximity in turn leads to repeated exposure of two individuals to one another. Repeated exposure usually results in positive affect, which results in mutual attraction, a process known as mere exposure effect. According to Rowland Miller's intimate relationship text, the propinquity effect can be defined as the more we see and interact with a person, the more likely he or she is to become our friend or intimate partner. This effect is very similar to the mere exposure effect in that the more a person is exposed to a stimulus, the more the person likes. The mere exposure effect is another term for the repeated exposure effect, emphasizing the fact that exposure to a stimulus is all that is necessary to enhance the positive evaluation of that stimulus. Proximity appears to allow an opportunity to obtain information about the other person and accumulates experience regarding the rewards or punishment one is likely to receive from the other person. Proximity increases the probability of acquiring information. So, in a sense, proximity, that is physical nearness to other, is a basic requirement that must be met before feelings of attraction can develop. Actually, that was true in the past, but now social networks and other electronic media make it possible for people to interact and form initial feelings of liking or disliking without direct face-to-face contact. Ultimately, of course, physical contact must occur for close relationship to develop beyond the virtual world. Next, we are going to learn about Hyder's balance theory. The prediction that proximity will more often lead to liking than disliking can be derived from a number of cognitive consistency theories. It can perhaps be most easily derived from Hyder's balance theory in 1958. The basic tenet of Hyder's theory is that people strive to make their sentiment relationship harmonious with their perception of the unit relationship exist between objects. What does Heider mean by the phrase sentiment relationships? A sentiment is simply a positive or negative attitude towards someone or something. What does Heider mean by the phrase unit relationships? It means separate entities are said to have a unit relationship when they are perceived as belonging together. The members of a family, for example, are usually perceived as a unit, as are a person and his clothing, and so on. Heider draws upon the principles of perceptual organization which were formulated by the Gestalt psychologist. The Gestalts discovered that relationship between objects which is especially likely to lead unit formation is proximity. Objects which are close together spatially tend to be perceived as a unit. According to Heider's theory, then, if one perceives that a unit relationship with another exists, this perception should induce a harmonious sentiment relationship, that is liking. In this module, next we are going to discuss interactive determinants of attraction. We have already discussed and learned about the formation of any kind of relationship between two people is facilitated by the need for affiliation, positive affect, physical proximity, and a positive reaction to the observable characteristics of one another. The next step towards interpersonal attraction and or closeness involves communication. Two crucial aspects of this communication are the extent to which the interacting individuals discover their degree of similarity and the extent to which they indicate mutual liking by what they say and what they do. Similarity. It means we know the notion of birds of a feather flock together. It points out that similarity is a crucial determinant of interpersonal attraction. According to Mori's attraction similarity model, there is a lay belief that people with actual similarity produce initial attraction. Perceived similarity develops for someone to rate others as similar to themselves in ongoing relationship. Such perception is either self-serving, that is friendship, or relationship serving, that is romantic relationship. Newcomb in the year 1963 pointed out that people tend to change perceived similarity to obtain balance in a relationship. Additionally, perceived similarity was found to be greater than actual similarity in predicting interpersonal attraction. Researchers suggest that interpersonal similarity and attraction are multidimensional constructs in which people are attracted to others who are similar to them in different aspects like demographics, physical appearance, attitudes, interpersonal style, social and cultural background, personality, interest and activities preferences, and communication and also social skills. The consistent findings that people respond positively to indications that another person is similar to themselves and negatively to indications that another person is dissimilar from themselves. This is known as similarity-dissimilarity effect. Much of the earlier work on the similarity-dissimilarity effect focused on attitude similarity. This means the extent to which two individuals share the same attitudes about a range of topics. In practice, the term also includes similarity of beliefs, values, and interest as well as attitudes. Many such investigations with a variety of population, procedures, and topics revealed that people respond to similarity and dissimilarity in a surprisingly precise way. Attraction is determined by the proportion of similarity, that is, when the number of topics on which two people express similar views is divided by the total number of topics on which they have communicated. The resulting proportion can be inserted in a simple formula that allow us to predict attraction. The higher the proportion of similarity, the greater the liking. No one knows exactly how attitudinal information processes to produce that outcome, but it is as if people automatically engage in some kind of cognitive addition and division, manipulating the units of positive and negative affect they experience. Why does similarity elicit positive effect while dissimilarity elicits negative effect? To explain the effect of similarity dissimilarity on attraction, the oldest explanation is balance theory. It was proposed independently by Newcomb and by Hyder. The formulation of Hyder and Newcomb that specify the relationship among an individual's liking for another person, his or her attitude about given topic, and the other person's attitude about the same topic. This formulation states that people naturally organize their likes and dislikes in a symmetrical way. When two people like each other and discover that they are similar in some specific respect, this constitutes a state of balance, and the balance is emotionally pleasant. When two people like each other and find out that they are dissimilar in some respect, the result is imbalance. Imbalance is emotionally unpleasant, causing the individuals to strive to restore balance by inducing one of them to change and thus creating similarity, or by misperceiving the dissimilarity, or simply by deciding to dislike one another. Whenever two people dislike one another, their relationship involves non-balance. This is not especially pleasant or unpleasant because each individual is indifferent to the other person's similarities or dissimilarities. In the balance theory, it is therefore stated that balance means liking plus agreement, which results in a positive emotional state. Imbalance means liking plus disagreement, which result in a negative state and a desire to restore balance. Non-balance means disliking plus either agreement or disagreement, which leads to indifferences. The next thing which we are going to see is mutual evaluation, that is reciprocal liking or disliking. Mutual liking means the intermediate step between initial attraction and the establishment of an interpersonal relationship. When each interacting individuals communicates a positive evaluation of the other by what is said or done, this realization of mutual attraction is an added positive experience for each of them. Most of us are pleased to receive positive feedback and displeased to receive feedback that is negative. In a more general sense, our lives are made more pleasant by genuine and sincere communication of positive feelings about one another, and sometimes even by positive messages that are not entirely genuine and sincere. In contrast, negative interpersonal communication almost always elicit unpleasant reactions. Let us put it simply, it never hurts to be nice, but it always hurts to be nasty. To conclude and sum up, in this module, we discussed how interpersonal attraction is related to how much we like, love, dislike or hate someone, and how interpersonal attraction acts as a force between two people tend to draw them together and resist their separation. We learnt about the meaning and the types of interpersonal attraction and understood how people tend to be attracted to individuals who are physically attractive, physically accessible and socially available, and similar in terms of purposes, backgrounds, beliefs and needs. Indeed, we also learnt different causative factors like internal factors, external factors and interactive factors that determine interpersonal attraction. It is clearly discussed in this module that attraction is a step ahead of interaction. All human beings are profoundly influenced by interpersonal attraction in their everyday lives, and this has been the case throughout the history of humankind. But we cannot say that interaction is the necessary or sufficient condition for developing attraction, but for an attraction to develop into fruitful relationship, a healthy interaction is mandatory. In fact, all the motives of interaction can be achieved only if there is some sort of attraction between the interacting partners. Interpersonal attraction is therefore necessary to build a strong and healthy relationship. Thank you, learners.